Okay, Mr. Lafond, what's up? You got the right, bet your butt. That's right, that's right. Not all guns matter, okay? So don't say all guns matter. We don't do that, all right? So anyway, perfect wind time. I was talking with Arkham Reporter. There's like I think I'm paraphrasing Julius Evola, right? He said that it's not enough to, I could be totally wrong that he said it, but we'll go with it. It's not enough to like be productive. Like if you break your head against the wall and you're exhausted and you have nothing left, like you have to, whether it's perform or produce something, it should come to a point where it's almost effortless. Now this may be, he may be totally like full of shit, but I just want, what's your opinion on that? Because you're like a machine, but it doesn't seem to have, unlike life in general, you seem to have a lot of energy for that purpose of writing.
I had a similar experience with fighting, and I'm not a high-performance machine when it comes to fighting.
Come on, you're a boomer, dude.
There's for something, when you get older and you've done something a lot, there's a lot less friction, and you put less, you'll have less performance anxiety than you had when you were younger. When it comes to writing, well, if we go back to fighting, mostly I'm a relaxation coach. That's mostly what I work with guys on, is getting over the performance anxiety, being relaxed. You don't get hit as hard when you're relaxed. You hit harder when you're relaxed. You don't get, if you're relaxed enough, you don't get tired. So I think for me, the high level of production that I've achieved with writing is mostly a lack of anxiety. I read a whole lot of books before I started to write on how to write, and I chucked most of that out the window when I actually started to write, because mostly what the writing coaches were instilling in a prospective writer, who would be their competitor down the line, was a very high level of performance anxiety and a quest for endless quest for perfection by redoing everything. Write something 7 times, that's not enough. Rewrite it, throw it out, and rewrite it an 8th time.
Oh, hell no.
So I think just the lack of Clausewitz described something called the fog of war, which was also, he described also as friction, when armies would get bogged down and they would stop performing well. So I think what I stumbled upon was just a lack of friction in my writing process. And if it's, to begin with, the simplest aspect of that is, if you write on different subjects, then you'll discover some subjects you could write anytime. Some subjects maybe only under certain conditions. So I think this belief amongst modern writers that you only write in one discipline, for instance, you only write horror, or you only write, political commentary, or whatever that is. I think it's another way to keep people from performing and not actually writing, and then it's competing with the writing experts, which they don't want competition.
Alright, that's pretty cool. I'll just add something to the end. It's just a question, I guess, or maybe a little explanation. Arkham Reporter also, like me, I have a lot of things I want to do. Now, obviously, I can't do them all, but when I have the free time, I get almost nervous. I hate to admit that, but I'm almost like, oh, I didn't hit this today. I'm not gonna get to this. I need to do this amount today, and it's already 3 hours, and I only got this done. And I start running around like, I guess that would be like Clausewitz's, the army that's not prepared yet, and they're about to, you know, they need to have this campaign. Do you have anything ever like that, or do you have any advice for that?
Well, I wouldn't. I don't recall having that problem. My main problem was exhaustion from working. I started writing a novel in 2009 on my day off. At that time I had one day off, and my job was so stressful because it was a real job. I was actually a manager of a horrible little ghetto supermarket. I had a real need to write because my mind was getting weaker. I had so many vampires, you know, sucking my life force out at work, and I found myself needing a clipboard, and I no longer remembered everything. I wrote my first 5 books before I had that job, in large part because I had a hard time forgetting things. So I couldn't stop thinking about ancient boxing or knife fighting or training, and so I wrote these things down to kind of put them out of my mind. Once I had been on that hamster wheel from 06 to 09, I was now becoming unable to remember some things that I needed to remember for work. So I decided to go back to writing fiction as a way of trying to strengthen my brain against what I was going through. I was having horrible nightmares because of the stress. So what I did when I made it a 7-day-a-week job, although I only had the energy to write, fiction still takes me a certain amount of energy to be able to do it. It's not something I like to do when I'm tired. I experimented with doing it exhausted to write certain types of fiction when I was highly productive, back when I was writing for like whole days straight. But what I initially did when I was writing fiction on my day off, and I was working, and part of that was writing up job plans for a large number of people and for the crew in general, is I would address my fiction in outline. I would do the organizational aspects of the fiction. I would do a table of contents. I would do just a bullet point cycle for a chapter. Not even any description. Not a synopsis takes too much energy. I never wrote a synopsis because if I had the energy to write a synopsis, I should just write the story. So I would organize what I was going to write and make sure everything was lined up. My computer was ready to go. I had my notes written, which were only bullet points, which took no energy. I had them laid out next to the computer. I would read something on the days leading up to that writing. It was a time travel novel, so if I was writing a scene in modern Baltimore, I would leave out a book that was, or a newspaper article that was related to that setting, and I would read that the day before. If I was writing a scene that was going to have to do with early American history, you know, it was the Conquistador period, then I would have those books out and I would be reading them on the day leading up to it. So if you could take the times when your work's sapped your energy and just use that for the organization part of your writing.
Like setup time.
Yeah, that would, I guess that would make sense if you're an artist. Set out your pencils and all that stuff.
That, I mean, I hate to talk about me,
you know,
but that's essentially what it is. Like, I wish I could just pull a laptop out and just start writing. I can't sort of do that. So it does make it difficult, like when you shift settings, and it's difficult, I know, even for you. Like if you go to someone, you know, else's house or whatever, it's hard to sometimes like get into the groove again.
There's that stuff. When I first got here, I had a bunch of people to meet. That, you know, I helped organize a couple of parties.
Social obligation.
But I wrote 5 travel articles because I could write that stuff anywhere. I could I can write that stuff in a room full of screaming people while singing end zone.
Oh God!
You know,
If you could do that,
that's not a problem. But history, less so. I can write history while the news is on. That's not a problem. Fiction, for me, it needs to be quiet, and I have to have a certain amount of energy. Unless there's some types of fiction I'll write when I'm sick or exhausted, but it's got to be like surrealistic stuff.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's just interesting insight into, you know.
So whatever your art is, if you're sketching, if you could just practice the art of sketching by sitting down somewhere where it was noisy and just trying to sketch something you know is not going to be production worthy, but would maybe help you like draw these arborvitaes or these maple trees or
that's
something
boring.
like that.
I want to draw spaceships and
but
fights.
it would help you.
Exactly.
So.
You do 100%, 20% correct.
When I'm on a train and I'll practice listening to somebody talk and then going into another car and writing down their dialogue. That's another thing. Stumble upon another speech pattern.
And we'll just end it where you said it's almost like, well, how do you do this? You say it's a compulsion. You say it's an affliction.
Oh, I have a hideous, cruel monkey upon my back that glares at me in the morning while I'm brushing my increasingly yellow teeth from all the coffee I drink while I'm proofreading.
Graphomaniac, that's how you got known to a lot of people.
Yeah, Ann Sturzinger was right.
Shout out to her, man. She really helped my brother here years ago on Tacky Mind. So, and all right, cool, man. I know it probably bored some people, but not the creative people. This is like how stuff is done, like the behind-the-scenes stuff of creative stuff. To me, as I get older, it's even more interesting than sometimes the final product. So, anyway, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Like guns matter.